Hey guys, I just want to do a quick update. You might have just seen I posted that Sunday was crazy yesterday, so I'm going to try and finish recording that video and get it out tonight. But I know some of you said you really like these short clips, short updates, so I just wanted to share a few things that I think are really important as we head into the daily close. So first of all, PayPal volumes have been pretty epic, and we're hearing that between the Cash App, Square, these guys now with PayPal, Grayscale, that just about all the Bitcoin is being bought, let alone everything else. Okay, so that's pretty awesome. But I think that this hasn't been covered as well. So 22 to 25% each day when I check this is ETH. And when you think about Bitcoin's run that it's had, from 13,000, whatever it is, when this sort of all started to up here, the market cap has grown, gee whiz, 100 billion or more. So think about it, 25% of that, it's just such a huge scope to push ETH far higher in relative terms, along with everything else, all those, ETH2, DeFi, gaming, NFTs, the list just goes on of drivers. So there's so much more room for growth when we're getting, relatively good buys through this app for ETH and the others as well. The other thing I want to mention was we haven't really had a pullback, and there's been some good articles about why this rally is different this time. So look, I still think we haven't gone completely vertical. We could have more of a parabola. Maybe by the time you watch this, we've gone through 20,000 with another push. Because what I am seeing, and I watch the charts really closely, I day trade, I scalp when things are happening, like at the moment, and we just haven't had these pullbacks and giving people a chance to get on board like we had in previous bull markets. So let's just quickly go back here, 2017. Everyone knows that we kind of had these 3 or 4. This is Binance. Let's see if we can go back a bit further. 3 or 4, 30 to 40% pullbacks. And they were painful, people were scared, but we kept charging higher. And if you're patient, you could buy a lot on those 30 to 40% dips and get a great position. But so far, even off the lows here, when I kept speaking about what I call the no gentleman's entry, when you're just not going to get a nice, easy, deep pullback to get on board the train and get your ticket if you missed out. And so that's been pretty consistent. Every time people have been calling for a pullback, it hasn't happened. And, I'd like to think I've commentated that fairly well, particularly for members. And we've had our ticket to the train. So what I think is happening and what you can see on exchanges and on the candles when you watch them really closely, and we heard this from Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, when he's talking about how much they've been buying. They use bots, and they're just constantly buying and just constantly hitting the bid on exchanges that are fairly liquid, the Coinbases and Krakens or whatever it is. I also want to mention, since BitMEX got shut down, I think it was around here, and this has just gone basically straight up. So there's a few theories going around that BitMEX trade against their customers, they were suppressing the price. I remember when they tweeted about ETH being a double-digit shitcoin when it was well over $1,000, and basically they rode it into the ground down to 80, and then I think he tweeted something about getting back on board. So it's almost like they can kind of dictate and control the market to some degree, and again, ETH's just been able to fly. And so whether or not that's just a coincidence or not, I'm not sure, but I think it's another one of those factors that BitMEX were responsible for getting this price down so low on Black Thursday, and it would have gone to zero if their engine hadn't have been shut down, their trading engine, because the liquidations were bigger than the liquidity in their order book. And so just putting that picture together for you, I think it's a bit of a different investor. So this isn't as much retail driven, where some news, some panic can cause people to sell off, and we get a sharp 30-40% decline. It's more that emotion. Here it's more professional investors. We're hearing and seeing that the metrics on Google Trends aren't that high. YouTubers aren't just having this crazy channel growth or views. People aren't rushing into Facebook groups. So none of that stuff is really playing out. It's kind of starting, but it's the serious money, the smart money, the quiet, silent money in the background that's just been constantly coming in. They know how to take a position. They dollar cost average. They might hit the bid harder on 5 or 10% pullbacks, but they're not panicking and getting shaken out of these positions on news articles or whatever it is. So that's kind of what I see happening, and that is represented now in the charts in the fact that we haven't had a deep pullback. So it doesn't mean that they're not possible, and sure, we've started to see just in the last few days, Willy Woo and others have tweeted, you look at the on-chain data I talk about with Glassnode and Sentiment, we are seeing that some people are finally sending some coins to exchanges, some older hodlers. So there is some profit taking because people can be up very large percentages now because we've gone so far so fast. So look, all that makes sense now, and I don't mind if we have a bit of a pullback. Maybe we have a crack at that 20, like I said, or we sort of tap here at the record high weekly close. Now this differs a little bit on exchange, but it would make sense to have a bit of a pullback here, and that could last for weeks or months as we form a bit of a range, and that's all really healthy. But I just think that a lot of people have been expecting a deep pullback this entire time, and from what I see is constant institutional buying, and they buy more on the dips, and that makes this smoother growth. And when you really think about where we're going, you put it on the log chart to compensate for that exponential growth. I really do think we are heading up here somewhere 30k, 50k next year, and 100k within the next few years. And we're going to look back at laugh that we're splitting hairs about $1,000 give or take here in these different levels. And when the chart kind of looks like this, and we're up here hopefully at 100k, it's not that steep on the log scale because Bitcoin is an asset that grows exponentially for a number of reasons, like I've been speaking about recently. And the really good example that I gave the other day was gold, where normally these assets supply and demand is kind of met. So gold, when there's a big run up in price, mining comes online and people invest and they want to mine more gold because the price is higher, and that ends up compensating. A new equilibrium is formed. Bull market once again in price, and what happens? This starts to go up, and this data is a couple of years old now, but I'm sure that annual gold production is up here. Well, it's grown a lot since the price started running. So guys, that's just a bit of an update, some thoughts. I wanted to get that out there, a little bit of a different format. And if you like these short, quick ones and you don't mind Louis' songs in the background, then let me know. So cheers. I hope you've enjoyed that one.